Alex. Lovely man. He's my best mate. Nobody understands me like Alex. Alex has been hugely influential in my life. If it wasn't for Alex, I wouldn't be where I am today. Cheers. Happy birthday.
Yeah, my first record of seeing Alex was that when we turned up in that studio and we all had to show our work to each other, if you remember.
Yeah.
And the noisy old bugger that he was prancing around showing everybody how great his work was.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And by the end of the course we believed that he was actually the best on the course.
There's a lot about him because I was working for Andy then, down at Bell Street, and by that time Alex and everybody else were in Taiwan, or about to go to Taiwan, I think, and I met him at some piss-up in Haverstock Hill, and he was everything that I expected.
Which is?
Well, it was a bit of a piss-up.
I first heard about Alex in about 1983, I think it was. A few guys that I knew mentioned that they knew this guy. Everybody said, you know, what an absolute top wanker he is, or was, which I thought, well, that's part of the course.
It's very memorable when I first met Alex McHugh. It was the Seville Expo of 1992, and as you probably know, people in Spain don't go out till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I met him in a courtyard drinking ice cold sherry, which is what you do in southern Spain, with the leaves of some beautiful fragrant flower hanging over, and it was just an absolutely beautiful evening. And then there was this sort of rambunctious Scottish presence in the yard, and we got on kind of straight away, and we got kind of drunk together, and that was about 9, 10 o'clock that night. And then I met him in the same place about 4 o'clock the following morning, and we were still going, and we still had a great time together. So it's very, very memorable. Yeah, very memorable.
Yeah, the first time I met Alex, he had his customary big bushy moustache and a khaki shirt on and some kind of military-looking shorts and some sandals. And the whole thing should have been a bit benevolent ex-hippie, but it wasn't. It was more sort of 1940s colonial policeman who'd spent a bit too long in the sun. And it was very characterful, but definitely very eccentric.
I met Alex in a very strange situation. I was working for Imagination. This is a long time ago. Not many people were doing what we were doing then. And James Gardner, Alex was with James Gardner, which is clearly who was responsible for him getting into the business. Big, unbelievable guru of exhibition design. And I was working with Imagination. So I was with Gary Withers. So Alex and I had the pleasure of watching Gary and James Gardner lock antlers because they could not have been more different. They were unbelievably different people, and we were going to work in Taiwan with James Gardner, but clearly after those two met, nothing was ever going to happen, and it never happened. But that's where I met Alex.
Well, the first time I met him was my interview at Met Studio, which would have been about 1994, and I spent about 20 minutes showing him my work and talking about it, and he didn't say a single word, just sat there with his arms folded over his chest. And I thought, this is going really badly. and then I sort of just gave up, and then he just shook my hand and said, welcome to the madhouse, and that was it. That was the interview.
I know him through mostly the FX design seminars, where every time he's always good value for money, always got an opinion, always turns up in shorts. Always shorts, doesn't matter what the weather is. I've known him to wear shorts and an Aran sweater. And you say, anyone who doesn't know Alex, he's the salty sea dog. He's fantastic good value before a drink, let alone after.
I remember going and seeing him at the Gardner Studios when James Gardner used to be asleep in the corner.
That was an amazing
And Alex
place,
was sort of
wasn't it?
running the show. So yeah, we've always been around, we've always talked a lot about what's going on in our business life. And the other thing I remember about him is he was always telling us how great he was at sport. I think if it wasn't for his motorbike accident, he would have probably been the best footballer in Scotland.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably
The
would have
national
run
team.
faster than Gus, who of course, as you know, got a medal at the Commonwealth Games. But for that motorbike accident, you know, that
If
motorbike
it hadn't
accident,
been, that was his alibi, wasn't it?
it was tragic. That's tragic. Absolutely tragic. Even to this day, he still thinks the motorbike, you know, is the reason why, you know, he's not running around so fast.
Alex used to talk a lot about global domination and taking on the world and design and all that stuff, and I thought, wow, what a guy! This is Scotland's answer to Walter Mitty, and it's quite spectacular, really. Some of the stuff he used to come out with. Again, you know, a few drinks probably help, but that's the way it goes.
Well, I always know if Alex is on the pitch because when you go to the presentation venue, there's some golf clubs in the corner, and usually a large suitcase with Singapore Airlines tag on it, and he may or may not have a portfolio with him if he's got room, and if it will go in the lift. So that's one thing. You know, so he's usually on his way somewhere else, and I pass him in the corridor. How you doing, Alex? But the funniest time was actually we were pitching against him in Singapore, and he didn't know that I was in the seat behind him, and he spent most of the journey reading the document because that's the only time you'll have ever had anything to do with the document. And I was sat behind him reading it with him through the gap in the seats. So by the time we got there, I had a pretty clear idea of what he was doing, and he didn't get the job. And nor did we. And the client ended up in prison. He may remember that.
Good story. I think we were up. If I even remember, we went up to York, and you,
that
me,
was good.
and Booker were all staying in the hotel, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
And Alex was in the cupboard.
In the wardrobe. He was in the wardrobe.
Doing something. I think he thought it was the loo.
I thought it was a leak in the corner of the room. He was bloody Mac You in the wardrobe.
And then he came back, got into bed as if it was normal, and then denied it in the morning.
I always remember though, I'm always pleased by the fact that Alex interviewed me and then gave me the job, and that had some sort of kudos, because I felt then that there was something that he recognised in you that, you know,
in you.
Well, in
you.
people that he interviewed, yeah. It was really good.
I don't think he interviewed me. That's probably how I got the job.
One thing that really sticks in my memory about Alex is quite early on when I was working for Met Studio, there was unfortunately an office thief for a little while. Somebody had fallen on hard times and was taking to dipping into people's wallets and bags at lunchtime. And it happened to me, unfortunately. It was just before Christmas, and it was quite a lot of money. It was about 120 quid or something. And I remember telling Alex, and he just went straight to petty cash and got the cash out and handed it over to me. And that's the kind of thing that you don't forget and that buys you a lot of loyalty.
I hear he's 60. He's a lot younger than 60. He's a great manager. Great manager. Alex, great manager. Rangers, Scotland, Birmingham. Might be going to Birmingham. You might go to Aston Villa, I hear.
No. Alex McEwig. I used to work with him.
Is he from Lego?
No. Battersea.
The Dog's Home?
No, the power station.
It's a ruin.
Alex McEwig, Met Studios.
See you later, man.
We meet him at a cricket match with Chris.
Piss artist, Alex.
That's the one.
He's much older than 60. I don't think so. Oh, he is.
Alex McEwen's a great man to work for. Hell, my wife and I even moved 4,000 miles so I could work with the man. What I miss most about Senior is when he would call me up at 7 a.m. needing the codes to get into the office. To this day, I still wake up in a panic.
Ooh, so we get very nervous, don't we, Roger?
Do we? Well, we met her around.
Yeah.
Don't know, what the hell have they done recently?
I don't know, not good.
Have
So
they done
right
anything?
Far East.
I've not seen anything good for years.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you've met him there, haven't you?
I have, and all I have is promises for lunch, which never happen. And he's always full of excuses, like he's got to go to Singapore, Australia or somewhere, and so we never have the lunch, and then it's going to celebrate something, that never happens, so I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know him very well.
But do you like him?
No, it's very nice company.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard he's a right wanker.
Yeah.
He was getting lashed and everybody was having a drink, but I wasn't drinking because I drove to Euston Station. And the train got delayed and everybody drank more. We got to Euston Station and he said to me, I'm going to do a bad impression now. He said, Peter, can you give me a lift home, pal, to Kingston? You got a car and that'd be good, I'd love that. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so I said, yeah, jump in the car, Alex, no problem. So we got in the car and we're driving along. And he was really friendly. He was saying, tell you what, pal, we got to work together. Met and land, be great. Work together, pal. I've got a great job in South Africa. You're going to join us, pal. I said, I'd love to, Alex. That'd be fantastic. I'd love to work with you. Met and land, fantastic. Drove to Kingston, stopped the car at his house, just getting out of the car. Okay, Peter, see you, pal. And I said, Alex, that'd be great, that job in South Africa. We'll work together. He leaned across the car, got hold of me and went, who the fucking hell told you about that?
Classic. I remember one time saying to Mr. McEwen that the only way that the wheat sheaf would extend credit was if 3 generations, male, of the same family were to come in at the same time. The following week, Mr. McEwen brought his son and his father and then promptly sat there and drank free champagne for the rest of the evening.
When we were doing Restless Surfers at the Natural History Museum, and it was pretty much the night before the opening, we were there all night, and Alex was there all night, and Event had done the other gallery, what's it called? The Power Within or something.
Yeah, Power Within. Yeah.
So there was always a bit of rivalry, and they had the supermarket at Kobe that got destroyed by the earthquake, and so they had the earthquake experience. And I just remember at a certain point in the middle of the night, you know, when everybody was at a bit of a low ebb at about 3:30 or something in the morning, Alex going into an event, you know, had finished, or they weren't there anyway. He'd gone into the Power Within, into the Kobe supermarket and stolen all the chewing gum and brought it back for us to kind of keep us going. And I thought, yeah, that's my Alex.